everyone! So I'm here to do what I think is a pretty exciting video today, and I'm going to be showing you a bookshelf tour. Now, I own a lot of books and organize them in a very specific way, so I'm going to give you a bit of insight of how things are set up before we get into the tour. First up, the only books I'm showing you today are my fiction books that I have read. So these do not include any non-fiction, they do not include books that I have not read yet, as I keep these separate from my main shelves. I also organize my books like a library, so I organize them alphabetical by author, and then I try to organize them chronologically if I have more than one book by the same author. You will also notice that there are a couple non-fiction books throughout my shelves, and this is because if I have read a few works by the same author, I try to keep even their non-fiction books with the fiction books as well. You will also notice that I often have more than one copy of a book. There are a couple of reasons for this. It's either because it's a favorite and I like to own multiple copies of my favorites sometimes, especially if there's really nice other editions. I also will occasionally buy nicer copies of books I already own at the thrift store for really cheap, say, especially like something like my Percy Jackson books. You'll notice I have a random hardcover in there when all of my other books are paperback, and this is because I would eventually like to own them all in hardcover, and when I find them for $1 at the thrift store, I buy them. I know a lot of you will probably also wonder where I get all my books, because I have so many. First, I've been collecting books for pretty much my whole life, so I've collected a lot of books from a very young age, and that's one way. I also buy a lot of books at the thrift store. As I mentioned, I get the majority of my books, I do buy them used. I also use my local library a lot, and then if I enjoy a book, I'll go then buy it cheaper on Book Outlet or something like that. I also get a lot of books given to me, as obviously everybody I know knows that I like to read. And of course, I get a lot of books in my OwlCrate boxes. You may also notice a glaring absence of Harry Potter, and this is because Harry Potter is so special it gets its own shelf, so it's not going to be part of this tour. Alright, so I think I've covered all my bases. This is going to be a long video, guys, so grab a snack and let's get looking at the books. The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie. The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. The Restaurant at the End of the Universe. Life, the Universe, and Everything. So Long and Thanks for All the Fish. Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency and The Long Dark Tea Time of the Soul, all by Douglas Adams. Watership Down by Richard Adams. Half of a Yellow Sun by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. Flawed by Cecilia Ahern. Simon vs. the Homo Sapiens Agenda, The Upside of Unrequited by Becky Albertalli. Tuesdays with Maury by Mitch Albom, The Absolutely True Diary of a Part-Time Indian by Sherman Alexie, 15 Dogs by Andre Alexis, Let's Get Lost, and Never Always Sometimes by Addie Said. Me and Earl and the Dying Girl by Jesse Andrews, Lux Beginnings, and Lux Consequences, Lux Opposition by Jennifer L. Armentrout, Mosquitoland by David Arnold, 13 Reasons Why by Jay Asher, Finding Wonders, 3 Girls Who Changed Science by Janine Atkins, Oryx and Crake by Margaret Atwood, Red Queen, Glass Sword, and Cruel Crown by Victoria Aveyard, The Clan of the Cave Bear, Mammoth Hunters, and The Shelters of Stone by Jean M. Owell, Pride and Prejudice, Sense and Sensibility, Persuasion, and Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen, The Wind-Up Girl, and Shipbreaker by Paolo Bacigalupi, Griffin and Sabine, Sabine's Notebook, and The Golden Mean by Nick Bantock. So the knickknacks on this shelf are a little Bastard of the Barrel candle, which goes with 6 of Crows, and that was made by Icy Designs, and the little pre-ordered dice game that you got for pre-ordering Crooked Kingdom. Alexandria by Nick Bantock, The Elegance of the Hedgehog by Muriel Barbary, Shadow and Bone, Siege and Storm, and Ruin and Rising, 6 of Crows, and Crooked Kingdom by Lee Bardugo. Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie, The Lost Years of Merlin, The 7 Songs of Merlin, The Fires of Merlin, The Mirror of Merlin, and The Wings of Merlin by T.A. Barron. Lexicon by Max Berry, The Wonderful Wizard of Oz by L. Frank Baum, White Cat, and Red Glove by Holly Black, Blackheart, and The Coldest Girl in Cold Town by Holly Black, 3 Dark Crowns by Kendara Blake, Weetsy Bat, and Love in the Time of Global Warming by Francesca Leah Block, The Boy in the Striped Pajamas by John Boyne, The Darkest Minds, Never Fade, In the Afterlight, and Through the Dark, Passenger, and Wayfarer, all by Alexandra Bracken. Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury, The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, and The Second Summer of the Sisterhood by Anne Brashers, A Great and Terrible Beauty, and Going Bovine by Libba Bray, Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte, Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte, The Sword of Shannara by Terry Brooks, Weird Girl and What's His Name by Megan Brothers, Red Rising, and Golden Sun by Pierce Brown, Angels and Demons, The Da Vinci Code, and Digital Fortress by Dan Brown. So the next 15 books are all in the Dresden Files series. The first one is Stormfront, Full Moon, Grave Peril, Summer Night, Death Masks, Blood Rights, Dead Beat, Proven Guilty, Small Favor, White Knight, Turncoat, Changes, Ghost Story, Cold Days, and Skin Game. The next 6 books make up the Codex Alera series: Furies of Calderon, Academ's Fury, Cursor's Fury, Captain's Fury, Princeps Fury, and First Lord's Fury, and all of these books were by Jim Butcher. The Aeronauts Windlass by Jim Butcher, Ink and Bone, and Paper and Fire by Rachel Kane, The Outsider by Albert Camus, Ender's Game, and Enchantment by Orson Scott Card. The next 5 books are the Parasol Protectorate series. We have Soulless, Changeless, Blameless, Heartless, and Timeless. The next 4 books are the Finishing School series: Etiquette and Espionage, Curtsies and Conspiracies, Waistcoats and Weaponry, and Manners and Mutiny, and all of those books are by Gail Carriger. Alice's Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass by Lewis Carroll, Walk on Earth a Stranger by Ray Carson, and Graceling by Kristen Cashore. The Amazing Adventures of Cavalier and Clay by Michael Chabon, The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Chbosky, Stories of Your Life and Others by Ted Chiang, The Star-Touched Queen by Roshani Chokshi. The next 6 books make up the Mortal Instruments series: City of Bones, City of Ashes, City of Glass, City of Fallen Angels, City of Lost Souls, and City of Heavenly Fire, all by Cassandra Clare. Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by Susanna Clarke, The Telling Pool by David Clement Davies, Ready Player One, and Armada by Ernest Cline, Worlds of Ink and Shadow by Lena Coakley, The Hunger Games, and Catching Fire by Suzanne Collins, Mockingjay by Suzanne Collins, Pinocchio by Carlo Collodi, Matched and Crossed by Ali Condi, Dash and Lily's Book of Dares by Rachel Cohn and David Levithan, Girlfriend in a Coma, and Life After God by Douglas Copeland, The Face on the Milk Carton by Carolyn B. Cooney, Vivian Apple at the End of the World by Katie Coyle, How to Train Your Dragon by Kersinda Cowell, I Heard the Owl Call My Name by Margaret Craven, The Seeing Stone, At the Crossing Places, King of the Middlemarch by Kevin Crossley Holland, Dark Matter by Blake Crouch, The Man with the Dancing Eyes by Sophie Dahl, Wolf in White Van by John Darnielle. Then we have the Maze Runner series, The Maze Runner, The Scorch Trials, The Death Cure, and The Kill Order, all by James Dashner. Robinson Crusoe by Daniel Defoe, Truth Witch by Susan Dennard, The Little Prince by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, The Peculiar Night of the Blue Heart by Lauren De Stefano, The Brief and Wondrous Life of Oscar Wilde by Junot Diaz, The Magician's Elephant by Kate DiCamillo, Oliver Twist, A Christmas Carol, A Tale of Two Cities, and Great Expectations by Charles Dickens. Before We Visit the Goddess by Chitra Banerjee Divakaruni, All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr, Room by Emma Donoghue, The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, and The Memoirs of Sherlock Holmes by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, The Lover by Marguerite Duras, Da Vinci's Tiger by L.M. Eliot, Like Water for Chocolate by Laura Esquivel, Hausfrau by Jill Alexander Esbaum, The Virgin Suicides, Middlesex, and The Marriage Plot by Jeffrey Eugenides, The House of the Scorpion by Nancy Farmer, My Brilliant Friend by Elena Ferrante, The Wars by Timothy Finley, The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald, My Life Next Door by Huntley Fitzpatrick, Gone Girl, and The Grown Up by Gillian Flynn, The Pillars of the Earth by Ken Follett, Maurice by E.M. Forster, We Are All Completely Beside Ourselves by Karen Joy Fowler, A Million Little Pieces by James Frey, For Today I Am a Boy by Kim Fu, Inkheart by Cornelia Funk, The Night We Said Yes by Lauren Gibaldi, Outlander by Diana Gabaldon, The Ocean at the End of the Lane, Coraline, The Graveyard Book, Neverwhere, How the Marquis Got His Coat Back, and American Gods by Neil Gaiman, The View from the Cheap Seats, and Make Good Art by Neil Gaiman, Stories, a short story compilation by Neil Gaiman and Al Sorrentonio, The Cuckoo's Calling, The Silkworm, and Career of Evil by Robert Galbraith, Caraval by Stephanie Garber, Dreams of Significant Girls by Christina Garcia, Your Welcome Universe by Whitney Gardner, The Good Body by Bill Gaston, Still Alice by Lisa Genova, My Side of the Mountain by Jean Craighead George, Memoirs of a Geisha by Arthur Golden, Lord of the Flies by William Golding, Looking for Alaska, Paper Towns, and The Fault in Our Stars by John Green, and Will Grayson by John Green and David Levithan, Fates and Furies by Lauren Groff, Codex by Love Grossman, and then we have the Magician's Trilogy, which consists of The Magicians, The Magician King, and The Magician's Land, all by Love Grossman, Water for Elephants by Sarah Gruen, Snow Falling on Cedars by David Gutterson, The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime by Mark Haddon, The Goose Girl by Shannon Hale, and then we have the Summer I Turned Pretty trilogy by Jenny Han, which consists of The Summer I Turned Pretty, It's Not Summer Without You, and We'll Always Have Summer. And then we have the Laura Jean trilogy, To All the Boys I've Loved Before, P.S. I Still Love You, and Always and Forever Laura Jean, and all of those are by Jenny Han. My Lady Jane by Cynthia Han, Brodie Ashton, and Jody Meadows. The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. The Lit Report by Sarah N. Harvey. Magonia by Maria Devana Headley. Across the Nightingale Floor by Leanne Hearn. The Old Man and the Sea by Ernest Hemingway. The Love That Split the World by Emily Henry. Dune by Frank Herbert. Skink No Surrender by Carl Hyacin. Horns by Joe Hill. Unbroken by Laura Hillenbrand. The Outsiders by Essie Hinton. The Iliad by Homer. It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. High Fidelity by Nick Hornby. Tilt by Ellen Hopkins. The Kite Runner, and A Thousand Splendid Suns by Khaled Hosseini. Roseblood by A.G. Howard. Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. The Hotel New Hampshire by John Irving. And Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro. Yes, I have read the 50 Shades of Grey trilogy, and I own them all. No, they are not good, but we have 50 Shades of Grey, 50 Shades Darker, and 50 Shades Freed by E.L. James. The Children of Men by P.D. James. And then we have the Queen of the Tearling trilogy, The Queen of the Tearling, The Invasion of the Tearling, and The Fate of the Tearling by Erica Johansson. Now we're going to get into the Wheel of Time series, the first book being The Eye of the World, The Great Hunt, The Dragon Reborn, The Shadow Rising, The Fires of Heaven, Lord of Chaos, A Crown of Swords, The Path of Daggers, Winter's Heart, Crossroads of Twilight, The Knife of Dreams, The Gathering Storm, Towers of Midnight, and finally A Memory of Light. The first 11 books were written by Robert Jordan, the last 3 were finished by Brandon Sanderson. These Broken Stars by Amy Kaufman and Megan Spooner, Illuminae and Gemina by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest by Ken Kesey, The Diabolic by S.J. Kincaid, Please Ignore V.R. Dietz, and Ask the Passengers by A.S. King, The Gunslinger, Under the Dome, 11/22/63, and On Writing, A Memoir of the Craft, all by Stephen King, Confessions of a Shopaholic by Sophie Kinsella, From the Mixed Up Files of Mrs. Basil E. Frankweiler by E.L. Konigsberg, The Death and Life of Zebulon Finch by Daniel Krauss, And the Trees Crept In by Don Kurtagik, Everything Leads to You by Nina LaCour, You Know Me Well by Nina LaCour and David Levithan, Lady Shatterley's Lover by D.H. Lawrence, Ancillary Justice by Anne Leckie, To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee, A Wrinkle in Time by Madeline L'Engle, The Phantom of the Opera by Gaston Leroux, Daughter of the Pirate King by Tricia Levenseller, Every Day by David Levithan, Boy Meets Boy by David Levithan. Okay, so I do have a couple knickknacks on this shelf. I have a little quartz, which I've had since I was a child and don't remember where it came from, and a little Wonder Woman candle, which came in my OwlCrate. So good. So now we have the Chronicles of Narnia, The Magician's Nephew, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, The Horse and His Boy, Prince Caspian, The Voyage of the Dawn Treader, The Silver Chair, and The Last Battle, all by C.S. Lewis. The Three-Body Problem by Cixin Liu, We Were Liars by E. Lockhart, The Call of the Wild by Jack London, I Am Number 4, and The Power of Six by Pittacus Lower, Number the Stars, and The Giver by Lois Lowry. Now we have the Legend trilogy, which consists of Legend, and that is the accompanying graphic novel, Prodigy, and Champion. Now we have the Young Elites trilogy, which consists of The Young Elites, The Rose Society, and The Midnight Star. And then we have Warcross, and all of those books were written by Mary Lou. So the extra goodies on this shelf is just a little Selena's Cake candle here to go with the Throne of Glass series, and again that came in an OwlCrate box. And then we have a little mirror pendant, which I've put with A Court of Thorns and Roses because apparently it's a Beauty and the Beast retelling, which I didn't really understand, but you know. First we're going to get into the Gentleman Bastard series by Scott Lynch, and we have The Lies of Locke Lamora, Red Seas Under Red Skies, and The Republic of Thieves. Next we're going to get into the Throne of Glass series, Throne of Glass, Crown of Midnight, Heir of Fire, Queen of Shadows, Empire of Storms, and the prequel novellas The Assassin's Blade. Then we have A Court of Thorns and Roses trilogy, which is A Court of Thorns and Roses, A Court of Mist and Fury, and A Court of Wings and Ruin, all by Sarah J. Maas. So the knickknack on this shelf is just a little coaster from OwlCrate. That's where I get all my cool stuff. And it is a quote from Shatter Me, so I decided to stick it with the books there. Pendragon, The Merchant of Death by D.J. MacHale, I Let You Go by Claire McIntosh, and then we have the Shatter Me trilogy, which consists of Shatter Me, Unravel Me, Ignite Me, and the novellas Unite Me, and these are all by Tahara Mafi. Wicked by Gregory Maguire, Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel, Finnegan of the Rock, Jellicoe Road, Saving Francesca, and Looking for Alibrandi, all by Melita Marchetta. 100 Years of Solitude by Gabrielle Garcia Marquez, Self by Yann Martel, and then I have the Song of Ice and Fire series, which consists of A Game of Thrones, A Clash of Kings, A Storm of Swords, and A Feast for Crows. And then we have The Ice Dragon, and those are all by George R.R. Martin. And this is Dangerous Woman 3, which is a collection of short stories edited by George R.R. Martin and Gardner Dozois. How to Hang a Witch by Adriana Mather, The 12 Tribes of Hattie by Ayanna Matisse, Amy and Roger's Epic Detour, Second Chance Summer, Since You've Been Gone, and The Unexpected Everything, all by Morgan Matson. The Road by Cormac McCarthy, Not a Drop to Drink, and A Madness So Discreet by Minnie McGuinness, The Moor Child by Eloise McGraw, Every Heart a Doorway by Shannon Maguire, Burning Midnight by Will McIntosh, The Haunting of Sunshine Girl by Paige Mackenzie, Game Board of the Gods, and Soundless by Michelle Mead. And now we're going to get into the Vampire Academy series, which consists of Vampire Academy, Shadow Kiss, Frostbite, Blood Promise, Spirit Bound, and Last Sacrifice, and those are all also by Michelle Mead. The Druid's Tune by O.R. Melling, Where the Red Fern Grows by Wilson Rawls, and then we have the Twilight series by Stephanie Meyer, which consists of Twilight, New Moon, Eclipse, and Breaking Dawn, and we have The Host, which is also by Stephanie Meyer. Now we're going to get into the Lunar Chronicles, and this consists of the prequel Fairest, Cinder, Scarlet, Cress, Winter, Stars Above, and the graphic novel Wires and Nerve. We have Heartless, also by Marissa Meyer, The Book of Atris, and The Book of Tiana by Rand Miller with David Wingrove. Next we have the Kingmaker Kingbreaker duology, The Innocent Mage, and The Awakened Mage, and these are by Karen Miller. The House at Pooh Corner by A.A. Mill, Slade House by David Mitchell. Next we have the Fever series, which consists of Dark Fever, Blood Fever, Fey Fever, Dream Fever, and Shadow Fever, all by Karen Marie Moning. The 100 by Kath Morgan. Then I have a little Le Cirque de Rêves Night Circus candle from my OwlCrate with my Night Circus book. The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. And Lost in the Barrens by Farley Mowat. Next I have the Fablehaven series, and that consists of Fablehaven, Rise of the Evening Star, Grip of the Shadow Plague, Secrets of the Dragon Sanctuary, and Keys to the Demon Prison, all by Brandon Mull. And we have Beyonders, A World Without Heroes, and this is also by Brandon Mull. Next we have Hear the Wind Sing, and Pinball 1973, Hard-Boiled Wonderland and the End of the World, Norwegian Wood, The Wind-Up Bird Chronicle, After the Quake, Kafka on the Shore, Blind Willow, Sleeping Woman, 1Q84, Colorless Tsukuru Tazaki and His Years of Pilgrimage, and What I Talk About When I Talk About Running, all by Haruki Murakami, Dumplin' by Julie Murphy, and The Infinite Moment of Us by Lauren Miracle, A Teaspoon of Earth and Sea by Dina Nayeri. Then we have the Chaos Walking trilogy, the first book being The Knife of Never Letting Go, The Ask and the Answer, and Monsters of Men, A Monster Calls, More Than This, The Crane Wife, and The Rest of Us Just Live Here, and all of those books are by Patrick Ness. Everything I Never Told You by Celeste Ng, We Are All Made of Molecules by Susan Nielsen, The First 15 Lives of Harry August by Claire North, The Summer of Chasing Mermaids by Sarah Ockler, and then I have the Delirium trilogy, which consists of Delirium, Pandemonium, and Requiem. We also have Panic, and all of those books are by Lauren Oliver. So the only little knickknack on this shelf is a little dragon Lego man that Karina actually gave to me, and I have him with my dragon book. The Rook by Daniel O'Malley. Next I have the Airborne trilogy by Kenneth Opel, Airborne, Skybreaker, and Star Climber, The Boundless, This Dark Endeavor, and The Nest, and all of those books are by Kenneth Opel. Animal Farm by George Orwell, Wonder by R.J. Palacio, Fight Club by Chuck Palahniuk, Aragon by Christopher Paolini, Road Rash by Mark Huntley Parsons, Bridge to Terabithia by Catherine Patterson, Hatchet by Gary Paulson. Next we have the Remnant Chronicles, and that consists of The Kiss of Deception, The Heart of Betrayal, and The Beauty of Darkness, all by Mary E. Pearson, A Day No Pigs Would Die by Robert Newton Peck, Anna and the French Kiss, and Lola and the Boy Next Door by Stephanie Perkins, and Night Film by Marisha Pessel. Next we have the Song of the Lioness Quartet, which consists of Alana, In the Hand of the Goddess, The Woman Who Rides Like a Man, and Lioness Rampant, all by Tamora Pierce. The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath, Serpentine by Cindy Pon, Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance by Robert N. Persig. Next we have his Dark Materials trilogy by Philip Pullman, which consists of Northern Lights or The Golden Compass, The Subtle Knife, and The Amber Spyglass. Then we have Ruby in the Smoke, also by Philip Pullman. Silver Linings Playbook, Forgive Me Leonard Peacock, The Good Luck of Right Now, and Every Exquisite Thing, all by Matthew Quick. In the Shadow of the Banyan by Vatty Ratner, The Celestian Prophecy by James Redfield, Defiance by C.J. Redwine, When Everything Feels Like the Movies by Raziel Reed, Angus Thongs and Full Frontal Stogging, and Startled by His Furry Shorts by Louise Renison. And yes, I have read all of the books in this series, but I only own books 1 and 7. And the only little guy on this shelf is Totoro, which is a little beanbag, and I got him actually in Japan when I was 16 years old. So now he just lives on my bookshelf. Next we have the Across the Universe trilogy by Beth Revis, and that consists of Across the Universe, A Million Suns, and Shades of Earth. All American Boys by Jason Reynolds and Brendan Keeley. Next I have the Falling Kingdoms series, and that consists of Falling Kingdoms, Rebel Spring, Gathering Darkness, Frozen Tides, and Crystal Storm, all by Morgan Rhodes. Interview with the Vampire by Anne Rice. Next I have the Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children trilogy, and that consists of Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, Hollow City, and Library of Souls, all by Ransom Reigns. Okay, so now we're going to get into the Rick Riordan section of my shelf, so sit tight for this one. We're going to start off with the Percy Jackson in the Olympian series, and that consists of The Lightning Thief, The Sea of Monsters, The Titan's Curse, The Battle of the Labyrinth, and The Last Olympian. And here I just have a little Camp Half-Blood bracelet because I, totally attended. I'll just keep that with my books. Next, we're going to get into the Heroes of Olympus series, and this consists of The Lost Hero, The Son of Neptune, The Mark of Athena, The House of Hades, and The Blood of Olympus. Next, we have the Kane Chronicles trilogy, which consists of The Red Pyramid, The Throne of Fire, and The Serpent's Shadow. And now we have the Magnus Chase series, which consists of The Sword of Summer and The Hammer of Thor. And now I just have a few companion books to the Percy Jackson books, and those are The Demigod Diaries, The Demigod Files, and finally we have Percy Jackson's Greek Gods, and all of these books were by Rick Riordan. How I Live Now by Meg Rossoff. So on this shelf I just have the 3 awesome Rainbow Rowell candles that we sent out in our OwlCrate, and because I'm lucky enough to work for OwlCrate, I get perks and I get to have all 3. So I just keep them with my books there. So next I have the Under the Never Sky trilogy, which consists of Under the Never Sky, Through the Evernight, and Into the Still Blue, and these are by Veronica Rossi. Riders, which is also by Veronica Rossi. Next I have the Divergent trilogy, and that consists of the prequel novellas of 4, Divergent, Insurgent, and Allegiant, and I have Carve the Mark, which is also by Veronica Roth. Next we're getting into the Kingkiller Chronicles, and that consists of The Name of the Wind, The Wise Man's Fear, and the companion book, The Slow Regard of Silent Things. And these are all by Patrick Rothfuss. Attachments, Eleanor and Park, Fangirl, Landline, and Carry On, and these are all by Rainbow Rowell. Bone Gap by Laura Ruby. Now we have the Winner's Curse trilogy, which consists of The Winner's Curse, The Winner's Crime, and The Winner's Kiss, and those are by Marie Rudkowski. Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe by Benjamin Alire Sands. Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close by Jonathan Safran Foer. This Song Will Save Your Life by Layla Sales. The Catcher in the Rye, and Franny and Zoe by J.D. Salinger. Okay, so now we're going to get into my Brandon Sanderson collection. These aren't very well organized right now, so bear with me. First up is a standalone book called Warbreaker, and now we're going to get into the Mistborn trilogy. The first book is called Mistborn, or The Final Empire. If you're curious about the fancy edition, this is the 10th anniversary leather-bound edition. The second book is The Well of Ascension, and the third and final book in this first trilogy is The Hero of Ages. So next up I have the second Mistborn series. This could be considered book 4 or book 1 of a new series. And the first book is The Alloy of Law, Shadows of Self, and The Bands of Mourning. Next we're getting into the Stormlight Archive series, which only has 2 books out at the moment, and they are The Way of Kings and Words of Radiance. Next up we have Arcanum Unbounded, which is the cosmic collection of short stories that are set all around Brandon Sanderson's universe. Next we have the White Sand graphic novel, Elantris, The Emperor's Soul, Legion, Snapshot, and now we have the Alcatraz vs. the Evil Librarians middle grade series. The first 2 books are Alcatraz vs. the Evil Librarians and The Scrivener's Bones. Next we have The Rhythmatist, and finally we have the Reckoners trilogy, which consists of Steelheart, Firefight, and Calamity. And last but not least, we have a short story set in the Reckoners world called Mitosis, and that is all of my books by Brandon Sanderson. Next, we have The Blackthorn Key by Kevin Sands, The Reader by Bernard Schlink, Vicious by V.E. Schwab, and then we have the Shades of Magic trilogy, which consists of A Darker Shade of Magic, A Gathering of Shadows, and A Conjuring of Light. And finally, we have This Savage Song, and all of these books are by Victoria or V.E. Schwab. The Lovely Bones by Alice Sebold, The Book of Dead Days by Marcus Sedgwick, The Invention of Hugo Cabret by Brian Selznick, Between Shades of Grey by Rudius Pettis, A Midsummer Night's Dream, and Richard III by William Shakespeare. I have read more Shakespeare, I just don't own any of them. The Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society by Mary Ann Schaefer and Annie Barrows. Next I have the Bone Season series, which consists of The Bone Season, The Mime Order, and The Song Rising, and those are all by Samantha Shannon. Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, More Happy Than Not, and History Is All You Left Me by Adam Silvera. The Rosie Project by Graham Simpson. Next is Mr. Penumbra's 24-Hour Bookstore by Robin Sloan, Counting by Sevens by Holly Goldberg Sloan, Grasshopper Jungle by Andrew Smith, You Are Here, The Statistical Probability of Love at First Sight, and This Is What Happy Looks Like, all by Jennifer E. Smith. I Capture the Castle by Dodie Smith, and then we have the first 3 books in a series of unfortunate events, The Bad Beginning, The Reptile Room, and The Wide Window, and these are by Lemony Snicket. The Notebook by Nicholas Sparks, Everland by Wendy Spinelli, Stargirl by Jerry Spinelli, The Light Between Oceans by M. L. Stedman, The Art of Racing in the Rain by Garth Stein, The Moon is Down, The Pearl, Of Mice and Men, and East of Eden, all by John Steinbeck. Next I have the Wolves of Mercy Falls trilogy by Maggie Stiefvater, and that consists of Shiver, Linger, and Forever, the Scorpio races. And now I have the Raven Cycle, which consists of the Raven Boys, the Dream Thieves, Blue Lily, Lily Blue, and finally the Raven King, and all of these books are by Maggie Stiefvater. Dracula by Bram Stoker, Beijing Doll by Chun Su. Next I have the Rairia Chronicles, which consists of The Crown Tower and The Rose and the Thorn. Next I have the Rairia Revelations, Theft of Swords, Rise of Empire, and The Heir of Novron, and those are all by Michael J. Sullivan. Ever the Hunted by Aaron Summerall, Gulliver's Travels by Jonathan Swift. Next I have the Ember in the Ashes series, which consists of An Ember in the Ashes and A Torch Against the Night, both by Saba Tahir. The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt, Golden Boy by Abigail Tortellin, Multiple Choice by Janet Teshian, and then we have the Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy, and that consists of Daughter of Smoke and Bone, Days of Blood and Starlight, and Dreams of Gods and Monsters, and those are all by Laini Taylor. Next we have The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas, and the Reboot duology, which consists of Reboot and Rebel, both by Amy Tintera, All My Puny Sorrows by Miriam Taves. Next we're getting into The Lord of the Rings, so we have The Hobbit, The Fellowship of the Ring, The Two Towers, and Return of the King, all by J.R.R. Tolkien. The Secret Diary of Adrian Mole, aged 13 3/4, by Sue Townsend, The Accidental Highwayman by Ben Tripp, Trouble is a Friend of Mine by Stephanie Tromley, The Girl Who Circumnavigated Fairyland in a Ship of Her Own Making by Catherine M. Valente, It's Kind of a Funny Story by Ned Vizzini, Cat's Cradle by Kurt Vonnegut, The Age of Miracles by Karen Thompson Walker, The Silver Star by Jeanette Walls, The Strange and Beautiful Sorrows of Ava Lavender by Leslie Walton, Easy and Breakable by Tamara Weber. Next I have the Night Angel trilogy, which consists of The Way of Shadows, Shadow's Edge, and Beyond the Shadows, all by Brent Weeks, Children of the New World by Alexander Weinstein, The Martian by Andy Weir, The Time Machine by H.G. Wells, P.S. I Like You by Casey West. Next I have the Uglies trilogy, which consists of Uglies, Pretties, and Specials, all by Scott Westerfeld. Okay guys, we've made it to the last shelf, so let's get to it. So my little knickknack on this shelf is a little unicorn, and I actually used to use this as my Monopoly character when my family played Monopoly. So that's that. So we have Noggin and Where Things Come Back, both by John Corey Whaley, The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde, Baljar by Meg Molitzer, and now we have the Fifth Wave trilogy, which is The Fifth Wave, The Infinite Sea, and The Last Star, all by Rick Yancey, Everything Everything, and The Sun is also a Star, both by Nicola Yoon. Now I have the Dustlands trilogy, which consists of Blood Red Road, Rebel Heart, and Raging Star, and those are by Moira Young, The Shadow of the Wind by Carlos Ruiz Zafon, Eliza and Her Monsters by Francesca Zappia, The Serpent King, and Goodbye Days by Jeff Zentner, I Am the Messenger, and last but certainly not least is The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak. Alright guys, so that was every single one of my fiction books that I had read to the point of the filming of this video. This video isn't going to go up for a few weeks because I'm going to give myself a lot of time to edit, so I probably will have added some to the collection by the time you see this. This video took 6 hours to film, so I'm thinking the final product is going to be pretty long, so thank you so much for sticking around to the end if you did. If you would like to see bookshelf tours from other members of Team OwlCrate, let us know, because it's definitely something we can do, and it's super fun actually. It's kind of fun to show off all the things you have read. And now, as always, signing off, please give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Happy reading, and thanks for being awesome. Goodbye!